Hey, Sheeples!
Hey,
This
hello,
is
hello,
the.
hello. And this is well, what is my name for today? That's a good question.
I guess y'all
Uh,
have realized by now that our running joke is that this dude has no name.
yeah. I'm the guy with no name. I just like keep changing it every time. Uh, but oh yeah, no, honestly, like I'm thinking, I might as well be a sheeple today because we are talking. It's apt for our topic.
That is a nice name. You, my friend, get a cookie.
Yeah,
But what is this?
more,
This is
more sweet things to make me fatter.
what? This is what? This is our fourth, fifth episode recording remotely. Something like that, right?
Yeah, recording remotely. Yeah. I was gonna say like, dude, like we record a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is our fourth or fifth episode.
Yeah. So apologies upfront for like shitty audio because
Yeah.
yeah, third
It,
world country, shitty
yeah,
audio.
I mean, it's not that.
Time.
It's not that. It's just we don't have the right equipment at home.
Yeah.
Fine.
I mean, we are the right equipment, but we don't have the right equipment. So,
I yeah.
yeah.
The only equipment that kind of works in a way and is
Ah,
like it does just have that one cell running. The whole operation is our brain.
brain for
I
fun,
can hit
guys.
it. I can hit it and hear like a small thing like shouting back like, dude, stop it.
Yeah, stop hitting me. I freaking run your body.
Yeah,
Yeah. Don't
but
let me. Yeah.
hey, how have you been, man? It's been a few days since we
Yeah, it's actually
actually
been a
recorded.
couple of days. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to brave through the weather, man. Like stuff goes pretty hot over here. 35, 36
yeah.
degrees Celsius. I mean, you're in the same city as me, so it's not even.
Pata chal raha hai, you're just
Yeah.
like at home, shirtless and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So without painting too much of a picture, just trying to get to like adjust to this
I
freaking.
think I hit the nail on the head for this one. I can't see him, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, there is no video, so why not
Uh,
record in like not my birthday suit, but okay, wait, we're getting way too graphic.
wait.
This is an
Before that,
explicit podcast, but
before that, we move on to that. I just want to
I,
say,
I swear I'm wearing a three-piece suit in 36 degrees Celsius. Yeah,
nah, I'm just wearing my hoodie.
yeah, I'm a
But
responsible sheeple.
I'm not a responsible sheeple. But yeah, so yesterday though, I just wanted to say this. I was just feeling different. I was like, I just wanna, I don't know, do something different. I don't wanna wear the same like t-shirt or hoodie. So I ended up wearing this tropical ass shirt that has like these
Whoa.
very splashy like trees and birds and all that imagery. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm in the Caribbean having
Dude,
a
then
nice
you
drink.
usually today should have said Hawaiian punch because that's what you look like yesterday.
Yeah, honestly, like I was a Hawaiian today, and it felt good. It felt really good.
If you were a little more religious, you would have been called a Ramayan punch. So, like, yeah.
I mean, fair enough. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
we
take
haven't
it.
done bad jokes up till now. So I'm like, wait, it's a joke.
We missed out. We missed out on a few bad.
Yeah,
But
so yeah, I
yeah.
mean, that's a little text. What
Sorry. Again, your voice just cracked. Like cut three
Sorry.
times.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit about the past couple of days. The
Mhm.
podcast is something that's really keeping us sane. It feels good to just be able to
Yeah.
create this safe space for all of you sheeples. And I hope whichever corner of the world you are in, I hope it's not getting too tough. And if it is, then I hope the podcast keeping you sane. And if not the podcast, then you have other things to do, because not really doing something has its own weird downs. Like you'd think that not doing stuff would be relaxing, but actually I think after a certain point it starts guilt tripping you, yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, like I like the fact that since we started this, it makes me want do something the whole day because there's an extent to like I can watch something, do like
Yeah.
just laze around or sit around,
Yeah, it
with my
actually
mobile,
goes
and
back to our last
it
episode as well.
yeah, it kind of gets tiring, man. Like honestly, it's I mean somehow relaxing can get tiring, which is a very ironic thing.
Right? That's like
Ironic,
an oxymoron.
yeah,
Hot
oxymoron.
ice.
But it's funny to think about, right? Like just the fact that I don't know, not doing something at times can feel it can be a really helpful thing when you're like, swamped with work all week, and then you just need that day where you want to do that. That is different from like being forced to do like be at home, not being able to do things you like to. Sometimes you just want to make your brain like churn shit out, and you know kind of get the juices running.
Mm.
And just having that small outlet, whatever it may be. And we urge you, like, please try to, like, have that kind of an outlet where you're just like, you just for like 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, you're maybe drawing something or writing something, or like just having an outlet where you can kind of express yourself and use your little noggin at times, uh,
Seriously, man.
so that it might just be a big help. You never
Which is
know.
which is exactly what we're doing with the Sheeples, right?
Yeah,
We're sort of using our time to shape this community,
yeah,
and which also happens to be the topic of discussion for today. We really thought that we wanted to talk about what communities are, and in this digital world, how communities have really come together and help keep people sane.
yeah,
And we want to begin by talking about why Sheeples, because Sheeples is a community.
yeah. We are
It's
like
a
eight
community.
episodes too late into this, but
Yeah, like this should have been our starter, why Sheeples came into existence
yeah,
kind of podcast, but we thought better late than never. We really wanted to talk
yeah.
about how Sheeples is a safe space, is a community,
Hmm.
and how what we're really trying to do is, because in its a sense, a community is it's often a group of like-minded people, people who usually are homogeneous, who think alike. So, I mean, there's a good chance that if you're listening to us, you're probably very similar to somebody who's 10,000 kilometers away, who's also listening to that, and who's also similar to the two of us right now talking. And something about our voice, something about the things we talk, something about our bad jokes, something about our usernames, something about our whole approach really resonates with.
Yeah. Also,
And
the thing here, I'd really like to say is like, we just wanted to do this because, and this is something we started off. I think 2 months ago, we were just sitting in my room actually, and just having a conversation about like, what are we gonna do ahead, right? Like, what's our plans and all that. And we just ended up talking about so many things, and we realized like there are so many things we don't get to discuss in public or in general at times, like with people, because people aren't comfortable about it, or rather like they're too hesitant to bring these topics up because it's always just talking about, oh, have you watched this, or have you heard this, or have you seen this, and it's always like uh mainstream stuff, pop culture stuff, or
yeah,
at times like nothing like about you. And I think we wanted to do something
you're
where we
right.
can have that kind of a space, and like you said, like have a space and have an area where people can just be themselves and make friends for their personalities without like talking about anything
Correct.
else, right?
Correct.
And we can be different in so many ways. That's what we were starting to learn as well, that we are so individualistic in our own ways, but we also can have like the smallest of bonds, the smallest of like likings and likes and dislikes that can kind of make us into a community and make us into a group that like I don't know, is there for each other, and that bond that gets created just because of like talking about these things and being
True.
yourself
True.
are really strong. Like, I think this is why with Z as well, like in such a short time, I was able to become like really close to this guy because I don't know. It's just that we didn't talk about things that were just like shows or all these kind of things. Just we spoke about what was going on with us, or rather why or what is affecting us in general in our lives, and that just kind of took us to different kinds of discussions in different places. And
True.
I think that's what we want to bring out in our community as well.
Yeah, I mean, people come together for a bunch of reasons. Uh, Unfortunately, the way we're moving towards a more pop culture alignment, we usually get together. I mean, okay, probably unfortunately was not the right word.
I
Maybe
mean,
just not.
I'm a part of the pop culture alignment.
Yeah, like I said, it's not something that I see eye to eye with, but if it works for somebody, great. I mean, a lot of people come together they watch the same shows, or they go to the same gym, or they watch the same kind of movies, or they look at the same kind of memes,
Or
stuff.
just have those poppy shirts that will make you like look pop out of
Yeah,
life.
like Hawaiian
Yeah,
as fuck, my friend.
Hawaiian as fuck.
People have those things,
Yeah,
and that's great. But I think that's limiting because um, we're still using something external to us to describe ourselves to
yep,
somebody else. So if two people get together because they watch the Big Bang Theory, it's great, but I think it's a great first step. I think the next step should probably be, hey, you know what? We watch these shows together, but I really would love to tell you things about me that I don't normally talk about. And I think that's what
yeah,
communities really power. They sort of power people coming in together and bearing their soul, really, for the lack of a better word.
yeah,
And we figured that's what we wanted with Sheeples. We wanted people to I mean, okay, I mean, initially it might start anonymously, like a few of you who have been DMing us and some comments here and there
yeah.
where,
Hello.
but I think it's a great starting point.
Sorry, Z. I think your like one chunk of it like kind of got cut off. Can you just repeat that?
Chonky.
Chonk
Okay.
here.
No, the chunk you probably missed out is
Once
me
again.
saying that Sheeples is really trying to be a where you can honestly express who you are without any fear of judgment,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you can come and talk about yourself and not feel shy, because at the end of it, it's only when we talk to each other that we will realize at some point of how similar we all are, and despite wanting to be different, despite this innate urge within each of us to just be unique and just be so different, once we start talking, we realize that we're all just, we appear disconnected on the surface, but deep down we're part of the same landmass.
yeah.
We're afraid of the same things. We aspire the same things. We we get happy by similar things, and I think deep down it's this invisible thread that connects all of us, and that makes us similar is what empowers. I don't
Hmm.
think our uniqueness empower us, because I think that's a little shallow, and that's just me. I feel that deep
Yeah,
down,
you know what, I completely agree with what you say because I genuinely feel like it is the bonds that we share and this might sound sappy, my god.
yeah.
People just get me tissues here, like let's just cry it out. But
Okay.
no, but I really do think like it's just that those small things that like genuinely make you happy when you talk to someone or when you're with a person that you can really be yourself with. And I think that's what a community does for you, right? Like to an extent, you can bear yourself out there and not expect to be judged. Rather, like you will have that support, and you the other end of it is you when you do something wrong, you'll also have people helping you up from that kind of a stage.
Correct.
And that's what the community is here for, and that's what we wanted to build with Sheeples as well, because we want to have that kind of a relationship with not only you sheeples but like with like in real life kind of get you sheeples to kind of do have it with other people as well, right?
Yeah.
Within your lives, and kind of maybe spread that kind of a positive energy, positive vibe, so that at the end of the day we are not a community that is trying to belittle or put some other person down, but rather uplift each other and help each other achieve our own like particular dreams or goals, and
Yeah, I mean,
like
I
do what
think
we
all
want
of
to
us
do.
need to have the ability where we acknowledge that some people might think differently and not
Hmm.
treat it as a zero-sum game. I mean, uh, just because somebody believes in something is completely the opposite of you doesn't mean the world ends. I mean, you
Yeah.
can let them have their breathing space. And I think one of the biggest problems with conventional media, especially a lot of social media, is the fact that everyone has this instant disapproval. I mean, people just let go of somebody else on the first sign of some difference or some rift erupting. I mean, we're just so
Mhm.
quick to just cut somebody off, and they're like, oh, okay, this guy follows that person. Oh, okay, this guy is from this religion. Okay, this guy has this political affinity, and we just block them, or we just
Yeah.
mentally. And I think that's the
It's just
problem.
like one thought kind of makes you think like, no, just because this person likes this or follows this or has this kind
Yeah.
of a thought process, I will not like listen to their opinions at all. No, no, that shouldn't be the case, to be really
I mean,
honest.
yeah, like I mean, you can do one thing. Like I mean, with Sheeples, when we started off, both of us immediately agreed upon the fact that politics and religion is off the table.
Yeah.
Both of us probably have similar or probably have very different views, but it's okay
Um.
to have certain things that you don't talk about. I
Yeah.
mean, if you meet somebody in your life who you like 9 things out of 10, and that one thing is something that you disagree on, it's all right. Don't talk about it. I
And the
mean,
other fact is, I think within us, our discussions as well, I don't like I've had this kind of a topic like broached in general between us, right? Like I wouldn't say we wanted to really look into it. One of the reasons was because both of us feel like we aren't as informed about these topics to really
sure.
put our two
I mean,
cents
yeah,
on it in
we
a
have
way.
opinions for sure, just
Yeah,
like
we have our
everybody
own
else.
opinions, and quite a few times I think we differ on them, which we've come to realize as well, I'd say.
Yeah.
In some of these things, but that doesn't like hinder us from talking about 10 different things that we love or don't love, and we both can share between each other. Just because we don't like uh, some topics are off the limits for us doesn't mean there are like other topics we can't talk about, right? And
So,
that's what we also try to talk about, say with other people when we say like whether they have different opinions or different thought processes in something. There are things that make them human, and that like inherent quality that like they also have between among within themselves that you can connect with. And you know what, you shouldn't forget about that one part. Yes, like there might be times you might feel they're misguided, and there might be times they might feel the same for you, but you know what, like at least give each other that chance to bring those kind of thoughts out rather than completely blocking them away from
yeah,
each other. But
true.
yeah, that's the whole point of being a community, right? So that we can kind of be that way with each other and
Yeah, I
speak
mean,
out.
and again, we're not trying to tell you, oh, we've landed upon some unique insight over here. Communities aren't anything new. I mean, communities are how humans survived, how
Yeah.
humans coped. I think we spoke about this on another episode of ours. That the reason why human beings came ahead and evolved a little more than other people is because we had that ability of having a shared vision, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of those of a community. But the thing is that when you look at digital communities, it's just a complete change in the terms of how fast processes can come together, of how quickly people can become a part of community, and how quickly can they reject and leave well.
Yeah,
And,
I mean,
and
communities actually has changed a lot. I would completely agree when since the whole digital aspect came into play, especially like beforehand. I don't know if you've seen these things, but like the whole rock community, if you ever like had followed the whole scene when rock music was a thing, and this was early on, right? Where we didn't have the internet like, I mean, I'm saying we, I have been born in the internet era. I'm speaking as if I'm an old guy, but at the time, like
you are
people
an
who,
old soul, my friend. The
yeah,
universe has stopped for you. The universe is your
old,
oyster.
old soul perspective, huh? That's a shout out to people, no?
Yup. I don't know
but,
who you're talking about, but do
yeah.
not Google search those terms, guys. I repeat, do
I would recommend you to.
yeah,
but
just
but
quickly
but
ignoring
but
past
yeah,
that. Yeah,
going away from that, I'd say
yeah,
like even with the, and this is just because that this is coming off the top of my head, is that rock itself was an expression of your raw emotions in musical form, and it came out usually in the whole anger aspect, or rather distress aspect, right? But there were so many people who banded together for that kind of music. It formed a community of its own, right? Like there were so many people against the fact that, oh, rock is the music of the devil, or why are you all doing this, or this doesn't make sense, this is just noise. But these core people came together, helped each other grow, became a bigger like um, aspect or ideology than just rock. right? And that's why today you see how like how much it permeated our culture,
Hmm.
like the culture all around the world. Because even in India today, you see so many bands that have been influenced by bands like I don't know, Metallica, or you can say Iron Maiden, or like this AC/DC, all these like big bands that were such a big name at during like the early days of, and or rather like mid, even you can say like in the prime era of rock. And today you see so much influence just because of that, and that's because it made a community around it, an ideology, a feeling, an emotion that people share. And because I've made so many friends just because we listen to like rock music. That's just having that community, right? Like, I think one of my best friends that I made was because we started talking about, oh, oh, we love Metallica, or we love Linkin Park, we love all this stuff, and it just ended up, it becoming bigger than just that. Like, from talking about just our feelings about music to talking about everything else.
Agreed.
And that's how that community was formed. And that's why, like, I completely agree about the fact that community aren't a new thing. It's just
True.
that in the digital age, like Z was saying, it's changed a lot, like genuinely.
Yeah, and then with the advent of the digital age, we want to talk a little bit about how the modern day marketer
Hmm.
can really look at communities. Both of us are students of marketing, and
Yeah.
wanted to, of course, there are a lot of people out there who might be listening who are insanely experienced in the field. But I'm sure at some point each of you has realized that there is a problem with the way conventional marketing is done. You create a brand, and you usually pump in a lot of money to make sure that the brand is around YouTube pre-roll ad, is around on a Facebook stream, is around on a
Yeah.
YouTube story, on an Instagram story. So you do a bunch of these things to get the word out to maximum people. So I think I mean, at least as a person who's done a fair share of marketing before I went back to college, and as somebody who's learned marketing from the textbook point of view, I think there's a decay in the way that marketing is traditionally done, and that is the funneling system. The assumption is that you got to reach out to 100 people,
Hmm.
out of which 10 people would be relevant to those who you've reached out, and out of which one person will end up buying your product or service.
Yeah.
So the problem with traditional marketing, even so, traditional marketing is usually just extrapolated to the digital platforms. I mean, a lot of marketers have not understood digital as a completely novel way, but are just extrapolating traditional marketing values on digital. And I
Yeah,
think,
like that's why we see a lot of these guys fail, kind of speak to the public as well, right? At times they think that, oh, if we, say things in this particular way, which used to be the ideology for advertisements on TV, rather
mhm,
newspaper, and they
correct.
do the same thing and speak that lingo in the digital side of things, people will respond. But quick, it was very quick for them to realize that no, that's not how it works. They were actually getting backlash for it.
Correct. I mean, and again, I'd like to also put in over here that it makes a lot of difference who your target audience is.
Hmm.
So if you're probably selling soap to somebody in a village who just consumes television and as a consumer doesn't rationalize too much
Yeah.
into the content they're seeing, well, it's a completely different story. We're talking,
Yeah.
rather the point of distinction here is that if you're trying to create things for the
Pardon
millennials.
Z, pardon Z. I'm sorry again.
Yeah. No,
We,
what I'm saying is if,
so,
if you're if you're trying to create a new age brand, if you're trying to target the modern consumer,
mhm.
if you're trying to look at the millennial or the centennial, and if you're that kind of marketer, then I think both of us strongly suggest that you look into understanding what communities are.
Mhm.
And if we can just contribute, if I can just put in my 2 cents, I think a community is nothing but a very highly engaged group of individuals. So traditional advertising looks at reaching out 100 people. A community rather could be a group of 10 people that gives you as much business as you could get in from 100 people. But the turnkey point over here, or the point that really holds true the most, is if you are looking at creating communities, contribute immense value to the customer. If you are somebody whose meaning is strongly defined, who's contributing in a large sense to what the consumer can gain from the product or service, is really doing something meaningful, touching the life of the customer, communities can work, because you really have this dedicated, devoted. I mean, look at the gaming community. Look at the community that
Yeah.
is on Steam. You know,
Steam, PS, Xbox, or everything, right? Like even Nintendo has such a big community and such a hard, like loyal fan base. More than a
yeah, and
fan base,
it
it would be a
becomes a religion,
community. Like
right? Like, what are the
yeah,
odds of? I mean, my fellow sheeple over here is a gamer.
um,
And
yeah, I
what are the
like
odds of you shifting to an Xbox?
very difficult for me to do that
So, I
because
mean,
I've just
would you
grown
go
up
on to
with a
say
PS.
that it's sort of
Yeah.
become a religion for you?
Yeah. It kind of has. Though I would say one of the biggest things, and this what I feel, I discussed with another fellow gamer, if you want to call him that, is that there's this holy trinity you can have as a gamer, which is get a PS, get a Nintendo console, and have like a good PC that can run Steam. So Steam again, on a PC you can run every game that you can run on an Xbox because it's owned by the like all the games on Steam and all the games on the Xbox are all Microsoft enabled kind of. So it's under their platform that it comes. Steam might not be owned by Microsoft, but it is for that kind of a platform. So that's why
I
Xbox,
think
since it's
Steam
made by
is
them,
owned by Microsoft.
I don't. Is it? I don't think so. Xbox has their own. Xbox is owned by Microsoft. So they are
Correct.
the ones who made the whole console. That's why like whatever games you'll find on Xbox, you'll find on the PC. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, like if my whole plan as a gamer, and this is again all came from talking to other people who game. By the way, this is again
So
that
he's
community
part of a
aspect.
community.
Yeah,
He's part of that
that
gamer
that whole
community.
that whole part of it comes because there are thousands and thousands of discussion threads that come up just talking about gaming itself, like not going into what games are or different games have their own communities, but just gaming itself. And that like people talk about specs, people talk about people literally fight online about which console they like better or which like should you use PC or a console and all those kind of things. So you know what, people are really die hard about these things, and you
I
see
think
these
what
communities thriving.
I think what this is really illustrating is that a community is a win-win, because as a brand, you have to genuinely put in effort
Yeah,
to create meaningful content. It's not the advertisement approach, right?
yeah,
Because you know you're not going to funnel down from the person that you're reaching to the buying. If your focus is to create a community, you will genuinely put in a lot of effort to create meaningful product or a meaningful service, and
yeah.
you will have to put in a lot of to keep the community going.
I
But
mean,
there comes a point where
similarly,
the
I think,
community almost
yeah,
becomes self-sustaining.
yeah.
You look at forums, and it's people themselves who are starting discussions.
Yeah, I think at a point like, and this is something I wanted to get to later as well, is that people start creating content for that particular brand on their own, like in a way like they kind of perpetuate and spread that kind of content to other people. And
Yeah, I mean, your
that
customer becomes
yeah,
an advertiser for your brand.
and this that's what's happening for the PS as well, or the Xbox, if you say both ways, because people, like we said, are so diehard about these kind of consoles or gaming stations, that they'll start like talking about why people should buy it, and they themselves will keep buying it, right? They won't move away from that. They, as soon as a new PS comes out or as soon as a new Xbox comes out, they will be the first people in line buying it. So those
Yeah.
10 people that you spoke about, that have been that affected because of that community, they are bringing you so much more business because they are that invested.
Yep.
And these companies know they want to talk to these kind of people. They have that particular target audience that they already have that bond with, and they've created such a long history for themselves that they know these guys will stick with you no matter what. And that doesn't mean these brands can kind of slack off. That
Hmm.
like this starts creating a lot of more expectations from these people as well, that we know that you're capable of this is why we are in your company, right? And we hope this can keep continuing. So you get a lot of like help from these communities to kind of uplift yourself as well, and kind of keep improving your own kind of systems and your own standards in that way.
Correct. And I want to add that it probably takes in a lot of courage, because when you look at a community marketing based effort, what you're really doing is you're opening up space where even if something that you're doing people don't like, they can voice it out,
Yeah.
and that's something that brands are really afraid of, backlash. But I think in the modern era, brands that acknowledge negative feedback are the ones that really make a difference, because I mean, at the end of it, you need to show the people that follow you your model too. Because if you don't do that, you're just going to be painting a larger than life picture that's not going to be possible to sustain in the long run. I mean, you will make mistakes, and what better way than to have the people who truly care about you vent it out, and what better way than to really address it on the spot and tell
Yeah.
people that, hey, you know what, sorry, we fucked up, we know that we are behind on the few, but this is us telling you that we will do better.
And you know what this reminds me of? Kind of OnePlus. If you've seen like, oh, if you are a OnePlus user, they have their own like forum and their own community that they've like built just for the users, and to talk to each other and talk to the brand, so that they can keep giving them feedback and keep telling them what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong.
True.
Like this is genuine platform they've created for themselves within their own like
Yeah,
products, right?
and I think that takes a lot of guts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is being done really well with by a few brands. I won't say like everyone is starting to get a hold of it, but the people who understood it and are actually like trying to make a good use of it are like miles and miles ahead of their competition now, just because of their these small like improvements that they do
Yeah, I
just by
mean,
listening
look
to their
look at
community.
the Harley Davidson community. I
Yeah.
mean, look at the Starbucks community. I mean, these are people that literally look at the brand as a lifestyle.
Hmm.
That look at the brand as an extension of the way that they live. And for these people, uh, the brand is no longer a brand. Then it becomes an expression of their own personality.
Yeah.
Like somebody who loves Starbucks as a space is going to try very hard to make sure that they fit into that community. I mean, you've all heard of that stereotype of MacBooks and glasses and
Yeah.
somebody sitting in extremely well dressed and having a coffee at Starbucks. I mean,
Yeah.
I know a friend who doesn't go to, even though he loves there, and he's like, bro, I have a Windows laptop, and I would feel so insecure pulling out a Windows laptop in Starbucks and just sitting there. I mean, and that's just,
That's the first time I'm hearing that.
yeah, like,
Wow, that's actually
just
a thing.
every time you go to a Starbucks, all you see is Mac, and you
Yeah.
know people who don't fit into that community are actually very by
That's
the whole thing. I mean, you look at the Harley Davidson, right? I mean, I
so
don't think
basically, if you call out Mac, quite a lot of people will look at you at Starbucks, huh?
yeah, right.
Because
Yeah.
everybody's a Mac. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry. I that was. It's like if you're flying over France and just call out Pierre, 10 people will look at you. That kind of a joke.
Damn. That's the
Uh,
whole thing, right? Like
yeah.
there are these brands that don't even have to invest in marketing anymore, at least
Mhm.
not as much as other brands. I mean, if you look at Harley, people
So,
are
sorry,
fanatical.
sorry. Can you repeat it?
See, if you look at brands like Harley,
Yeah.
people are fanatical. I mean, I don't think a Harley Davidson guy.
Oh my
Uh,
God. A little bit because.
I,
But can you just repeat the Harley part?
yes, I'm saying that I'm sure that brands, people that are diehard followers of Harley Davidson would never even consider buying a Triumph,
Yeah.
or or would never consider shaving off their beard or stop wearing a leather jacket or dressing in that particular. I mean, you have that image, right, of a
It's
Harley
a
Davidson,
very very specific image as well. I
very
think
specific
everybody
image,
like
and
knows
that
what you're thinking
community
of.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're like if somebody who doesn't fit that typecast, I don't think you'll ever buy a Harley. Or if you buy one, you'll make
The,
sure that you
the
sort of
funny
start.
thing is, like in the showroom itself, I think they kind of look for specific qualities for you to be able to buy that
Yeah, right.
Harley.
Like they have a filter on what kind of people would not could not buy the bike, and I'm sure like they turn many people.
Yeah.
Um,
And you would think we are joking, but this is actually a true
yeah,
thing. Like we aren't kidding when we say they have a specific base that they know are that like in love with riding, have that kind of a nature, suit their personality and the brand's personality itself, and that's why this community was built, right? That
true.
they shared this love for just being a rogue adventurer kind of a person, just like a traveler, a loner, whatever you want to call that. Or rather, they aren't loners though. They are kind of like a pack of people who
Correct. I mean,
have a
they're their
very
own. They just need their own people. They hang out at
yeah
similar bars and uh, they go riding together as a troop.
yeah.
And I think that's how powerful a community can be. I mean, you don't need anybody else then.
hmm I think that's what they do really well, and I think they're one of the best examples you can kind of bring up when we talk about making a personality for yourself or having a brand create like something much larger than just like a motorcycle company. So
True.
props to Harley to that, dude. Like, oh my god. But another brand that comes to my head when it comes to like communities is Lego. Like
Mm.
it's funny to think about like Legos would have such a huge love and such a big following of people who are so like die hard about creating new structures, new kind of designs for this particular like block game thing that we all had as kids,
All
right?
I
Like
can think of
adults.
Lego is one piece stuck to another and the other one just being like, Lego of me,
Yeah.
Lego. That's all.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I
No.
reduced the brand to a meme, but that's
I
all
that's
that
fair
comes to
enough.
me.
But the thing is that like the love for people, they have genuine forums of people creating
Yeah.
their own art structures, art pieces with Lego and posting about it. And then you know what? Sometimes like some of these designs that these adults create, or rather these kids and adults together or families create, are
Hmm.
actually made into sets by Lego.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Like
brand,
that's
I've heard
yeah, the
that.
brand really makes them into a set, and that's what created like kind of fanned the flames for this community in a way. So that
True.
the interaction that the brand itself had with the people, that you know what, we encourage you to be creative, we encourage you to design, we encourage you to do what you want to do with these small pieces with these small blocks, and we'll provide you with anything and everything you want, be as creative as you want. And people went with people. That's why like Lego has such a big following today. They have their own theme parks today, just because of the fact that like there's
Legoland,
that
yeah.
much. Yeah, the brand, like there's Legoland, right? Like people love that particular uh, thing, like that idea of Lego so much that they created movies, they created theme parks, they've created such a big empire out of
True.
just a small like kids
Yeah, and
game
you
that
can't
used to
fake
be
that. I mean, I don't.
to
There's
yeah
there's a lot of it is organic. I mean, you really need to have a very strong community that really believes in the
yeah.
product. And then the product becomes something larger than life.
And I think the main thing is like the brand itself encouraged people to make stuff, be as free with their product as they could, and just because they didn't restrict them, it led them to become something bigger.
True.
And I think that's what's beautiful about that particular like ideology, that you know what, be yourself and kind of express yourself through our product, because there's not just one way of doing it. You can do it your way and it would still look beautiful.
Correct.
So that's one of the like I think really smart things they ended up doing really early on as Lego, as a brand as well, because I think I don't know if they had this ideology since the beginning, but they did like encourage this since the beginning, and that's what's led them to where they are. So I guess, you know what, like they had a vision for the future that really took them that far.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, if you're somebody who's looking to build a business,
Yeah.
I mean, just remember this thing that you have this hierarchy, right? At the base level, what you can do is create a product or service, right?
Hmm.
What you can do to augment it is create a brand. But I think at the top, what you can really do to create the most meaning is to have a because the community is really an acid test of how many people would choose your product or your service over a similar product.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we're living in a world where we aren't really creating a lot of new things, and nothing's stopping anybody from waking up tomorrow and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to create a product or a service that's extremely similar to yours, and I'm
Hmm.
going to be cocky enough to set up shop right next to you or have a website that sounds very similar to you. In case you've only been invested on a product or a brand level, you're gonna find it very difficult to compete with these Me Too services. But I think if you can really create a community where you actually invest as much time into understanding people as you do into
Yeah.
understanding your I think you could really have something worth fighting for.
I think the day you kind of start understanding your audience or your people, and is the day you start understanding what you are, and you are as your own personality as well, right? The That's how you'll develop it, and that's how you kind of grow into a bigger community, right? So I think that's one of the biggest or most important things you can look into. And this starts at the like I think today, and especially in this era, it starts right at the beginning, right when you're starting to build your brand or your company. You need to start thinking of how you're gonna communicate and how you're gonna like bring out what are you giving that is more than just the right or just the service itself. Like what is it that makes you you? And
You,
you is back.
you.
You is an old friend of ours.
Yeah,
But
you is the third podcaster
yeah,
who doesn't talk a lot.
a silent partner, as you would.
Yeah,
But yeah, so basically it is what it is, right? And I guess that's what you need to start looking at. And one of the biggest things that has come out over the last 10 to 15 years in this matter is I think how online creators, especially like if you see all these YouTubers starting to build their own. I don't know if you watch any like YouTubers. Do you? Just
I
asking.
no, not a lot.
So just I like in my case I do watch a lot of YouTube, and I've like watched a lot of like different kinds of YouTubers come up and become like really big in their with their names, and come up in mainstream and become bigger there. So the funny thing here is like if you just take like people like Sidemen is some relatively still like 6 years now, 6 years old or something, 6 or 7 years old. It's a group of seven guys who kind of it's like a group of best friends, right? They're just having fun in their videos. They started out gaming with each other, playing GTA a lot, and they ended up becoming like started doing videos where they went outside, met with each other. They used to play a lot of football with each other because they are British. They have a lot of British humor. So they started building that kind of a brand of like we are just a group of seven people who love having fun, and we are just like what, we don't care. We'll banter amongst each other, and we can pull each other's legs. It doesn't matter because we are best friends, and that's what best friends do. And they started building a community around like their personalities as well, right? Like each and every one is different in their own way, but they are also very similar in many ways, right? It's that friendship and that bond that brings people to them, and because of that, they started like selling merchandise of their own, and having people like proud to call themselves like, oh, we are part of the Sidemen, or I am a Sideman, or I'm well, like it and Sideman in Britain used to be like a bad connotation, like you're just like lackey for someone, and they just made it into like that word completely changed its meaning in that country just because of these seven people.
That's big.
right? And that's crazy to think about today. Like if you talk about sidemen over there, people know who you're talking. Like people know it's like a group of these British YouTubers. Similarly, like if you think about PewDiePie or Markiplier, like Markiplier is such an amazing person to build a brand around his own personality, where he started out YouTube because he was down in the dumps because he had a tumor. He was under he was in a very bad relationship at the time. He was studying something he didn't want to study or wasn't happy studying, and he didn't know what he should do. He was in a very like bad time in his life, and he started out his YouTube just to like have an outlet. And he from his time having like that tumor in his, I think it was in his brain or something, to realizing that he wanted to give back to those kind of people, he
It's a
started
bit
to do a lot of
sensitive, but I could totally a bit insensitive, but I could totally imagine someone asking, "Where's my tumor?" The cranberry suddenly going like, "In your head,
Eh,
in your head." Yeah. Okay.
uh,
Wow,
yeah,
that
no,
was
I mean, so his whole brand is like being sarcastic and funny and all that. But the
oh
thing is,
glad. Thanks.
he built a community around giving. Like he
Hmm.
started doing like charity streams where he raised like lots of money, like $100,000 at times, and just to give to charity. And that kind of built a group of people, like wanting to do something more and be and he did it out of like he started with gaming, and now he does a lot of more creative stuff. Again, you will see a pattern with me talking about a lot of gaming YouTubers, because again, I like that kind of
That's what
content.
happens, right? When you have a really engaged
Yeah,
customer, they'll just keep finding a way to bring that into any
yeah.
and every conversation.
So I think that's the whole point, right? Like these online creators have built communities around their own personalities and their love and likes and dislikes, and through that they've also made a lot of money by selling their own merchandise, kind of thing. So in a way, they kind of hit the nail on the head with like digital community building. Because
Yeah.
even though they did it unintentionally or not realizing in the beginning, now people have understood what they are doing and kind of try to like emulate that. But the original like people who came into this era, like just trying to do whatever they could do or be themselves, connected with people in such a deep level and such a human level that it built something more than just a brand for themselves. It built like a group of people who loved what these people do and had similar like thoughts, or they were similar in many ways and could relate to these kind of people. So it ended up building its own like base where they started talking to each other. There are people within these communities who've gotten married to each other. Like these fans, like they go to their shows and tell these kind of YouTubers that it's because of you that we've met. Like how big is that? You've made that much of an impact on someone's life that they met their loved one just because they followed this one particular YouTuber. Like that's crazy to think about, right? Hello.
True. I agree that that is
Oh,
very
for a moment you
powerful.
were quiet, so I was like, did I lose you?
No, man, I was just giving you your space. I mean, you seem to really be passionate about what you're talking, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? You
I
really
think I
find
spoke
one
for a
thing.
very long time about that because I think
Yeah,
it's just something in my head.
I just made my lunch in the. You didn't
Yeah.
even notice I was gone.
I think I
I'm
was just
having a
continuously
parfait for
speaking and
lunch.
speaking and speaking. I think I need to be quiet now, and you need to speak.
Nah,
You
nah, man.
see,
No, no, no. I'm pretty much. I said what I had to say. I think we've given a
what?
little bit of insight into what communities are, why the Sheeples started as a
Yeah,
community, and how marketers can really benefit from communities. And
yeah,
I don't say this from as a marketer, but I say this as a customer because I know for a fact that I would have so many more meaning on digital if I was part of communities that I was really passionate about. So
mm.
I think it's a win-win if we can get this community thing to go forward. And to be very
Hey,
honest,
but one thing
yeah,
before we move to anything else, I just wanted to ask you about you. You've not spoken about any community you've been involved, in, and I want to hear about any like one at least one community you have been.
yeah. So as everyone knows, I'm big time into fragrances. I want to learn how to have my own fragrance label someday. I've taught myself to create fragrances, and I'm part of this online community called Base Notes. And it's just a bunch of people who are extremely enthusiastic about fragrance. I mean, at the end of it, it seems weird. It's just scented water in a bottle. But there are thousands of people. It's a very small community. It's a niche for,
uh,
but it's a bunch of people that are really intrigued, that are really curious, that are really passionate. And you have threads that talk about scent of the day and what I bought today and videos, and you have a bunch of reviewers out there who are unboxing stuff. And I mean, it's difficult, but they do a really good job at describing smells over video. And you'd think that it's impossible, but they paint a good picture. And this is the community where you had people who started off as enthusiasts, and some of them even went on to have their own labels. Um, and in a very short amount of time have become creators, not just content creators, but also.
so will we
And
ever get a label?
sorry, could you say that again?
Will we ever get a label from you? Like,
Oh, dude,
just
one
some
one hundred
scented
percent.
water.
That's always in the plan. That gives me motivation to wake.
Give me some of that oud.
Yeah, oud, oud de parfum.
Oud.
Uh, oh
uh,
man, I think these are the things that really keep us going.
mm.
Especially when you have such a freaking hot summer. Like, I
we,
am
we be
melting.
smelling, we be smelling oil.
Uh,
I'm glad this.
yeah,
Like, I don't think you would appreciate it. Mm. Actually, no, you know what? I don't smell bad. I'm kind of putting myself down here. I'm not. I don't.
yeah,
I'm
but good
fine.
for
I
you.
had a
We don't
bath.
have those technologies yet.
I had a bath.
Why?
I
I
hope
mean,
you
if,
did.
if
I hope you did,
you
Z.
were in Thailand, that could have meant.
Pardon? Your voice got
If
cut.
you were from Thailand, that would have meant something else. Like, I've had a bath.
Yes.
One Thai bath.
One Thai bath.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
Sheeples, I think we've had
Yeah,
a nice
we've
informative
had a
session.
nice discussion here. Yeah.
Yeah, we thought this would be like all light and fun.
Uh, your voice just light and fur.
Oh, I mean light
Light
and
and
fur.
fur.
I mean,
We are back
obviously I
to
like,
Thailand. We are back to Thai food. Huh? Fur.
yeah, Thai fur.
Thai fur.
Fur.
Okay, I think
Ah,
we aren't ending this. we,
yeah, I know, right? Like, I think we need like, hey, that's it
uh,
for me. This is me signing out.
no, no, no.
But we had a
But
good
yeah,
one,
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
informative. We're gonna start writing posts for Sheeples. I think there are a lot of people out there who want to know what the podcasts are in a concise manner,
Yeah.
and I can understand that you want to go through a few words before you invest a full hour. If you're on LinkedIn, very soon we'll be having our own page. You can check it out. I mean, if you like those articles,
And I think we are posting, like, we are already posting quite a few blog articles every time like a
yeah,
pod comes out. We have an article accompanying it, but we are also planning to put out like some articles on LinkedIn, and hopefully like give a bit more of a deep dive into our work. Uh, Actually, yeah, because this is not only this is all of our world, right? Like, this is, I think that's what we want to build, and this is what we were talking about today, is that having our community, having our tribe, and hopefully you sheeples will continue being a part of it, and rather, what, we can grow people
yeah.
around, like, join in on this kind of like a bond that we have. Hopefully our bonds will get stronger over time, right? So
Bonds are gonna be stronger. Wow, that has
James Bonds
a
are gonna be,
romantic vibe to it, but okay.
yeah. No,
Not
I'd
generally
rather think
everyone
about
does.
James Bond. Brat, brat. Anyway,
Broke Bond much. Okay.
we've cringed ourselves out enough.
A lot. Okay, so we're gonna see you next time.
Yeah, see
This
you
is
guys
me
next
signing
time.
out.
And this is a sheeple signing out for today.
Okay, people.
So see
Bye.
you guys. Bye.
Yeah. No, see ya, sheeple, not guys. From
Oh, right,
sheeple to
sorry.
sheeple.
See a sheeples from another sheep.
From another sheeple.
This thing I need to start getting.
Take care, stay safe.
You guys stay safe. Oh wow, you sheeples stay safe. My God, learn.
Not gonna get accustomed to that anytime soon.
I think we need to end this. We've said bye enough times.
Okay.
See ya. See ya.
Okay.